See, the question becomes why, Mason Robot. Generally, we know where everything is inside of here. So just hang on, hon. I would cover you up, but you lucky. Alright, anyway. Getting her done inside of here. I like to take on freaking multi-domain battlefield, especially with my new stuff. It's been pretty fun because I've been specifically aiming it at the ASVAP, what we're fighting for. This is the Black Compass and Square, George Washington Carver's book model on keeping the lodge running, throwing logs in, which gets us to who's at the table at the top. Really what that says, whether it's a figurehead or a masquerade or otherwise, that's why you can't run those positions like that without doing it. That's why this horse just doesn't give a fuck who your daddy is. It just doesn't. It's going to knee you in the nuts for being that way when everything ices out your garden. You're going to get into some of the Space Marine Dreadnought, the infantry squad for the Sharp Salty, and which field you get good and comfortable with based on who's the number one glowing off of Chernobyl's safe radiation limits on your Geico counters. Seems like a dangerous, hard way to live in. You start the kids the observation on multi-domain battlefield. Math is a combatives fist fight because combatives and the organization of how you set up the cross-collar choke but after stances. Do you want to lead with takedowns or do you want to lead with first engaged combat? There's a way, especially with, 52 feet, 60 feet, 80 some odd feet there for stabbing somebody before you can pull out a gun. Well, knowing that would change how you generally look at the field. You're going to be in there with some of those heavy-duty concepts where it's just a simple figure four for how broad this mechanics go. It could be a farm, some hillbilly system. I just need you to be able to integrate N and AN and A1. If we can do that and I can do that, and then you can show me in that system she pumps out like the ASVAP there, well, we'll be playing Aliens and Cowboys again, or whatever we're doing. Again, I want you to see some recruiter stuff on here. Lay your stuff in here, lay your stuff in there. Be ready for that kind of index of it, or why those systems come through. Again, every once in a while needs to get the compass, and there's some things about some numbers on the proper grammatics of how it comes off. Well, in training against the reality out there, you can't really simulate the trainer base. The formula can work up against it as much as he learned it from him by playing the chess game in the clink there, or however we do, or whatever I'm trying to do. I think I was playing some military stuff in that one. Again, here's some basic cookie recipes and some systems of the math of the ratios. You can change it a little bit. A little bit of baking soda extra is fine inside of here if you got a little frosty on it. But if we were running the factory, might be a problem. In the long game, to the costs on things coming up in inflation, you get some issues on a dangerous combination, cons and chess. But if you get good in the garden out there, it's because it's a very old con that people don't think you can get really good with, and based in quantum mechanics, which usually keeps it in there. Come on. Well, now let me go no farther, so we'll just throw this up.
Heavy fighting is being reported now in the southern city of Mariupol, near the Black Sea. Further north in the suburbs of Kyiv, Russian shelling has been relentless. That is where we find Benjamin Hall, who joins us live from the capital city. Benjamin, what are you seeing overnight there? What's the latest?
Well, again, we know who the people are. And from our index
Gillian, you and I were speaking just a couple of minutes ago, and I said what a calm night it had been so far. Just on cue there, we have the air raid sirens going off over here. What we've been looking at for the last few days is this slow, steady encroachment around the capital, Kyiv, fighting ever closer to the city, and some pretty horrific scenes in some of the villages and outskirts of this city, some of them being flattened completely. And what that means is the civilian toll continues to rise, and it's rising across the country. We've seen the ceasefire and the humanitarian corridors in Mariupol break down, Russians shelling those exit routes. And it does seem that because the Russians have been held back till now, not moving as fast as they would like, we've seen them pick up attacks, indiscriminate attacks on civilians, on urban centers, on hospitals,
to the Rook's
schools,
tour
all of those have been hit.
any
And of
other
course,
piece
because of the modern nature of this war,
or
we
what
get
they're
first-hand
trying to
video of all
idealize
of it.
invert
It's easy
square
to track, and at
on
this
that
point, it does
system.
seem as if this conflict is only
You
going
do
in
the
one
pie
direction, and that
charts
is getting
of the
seriously.
first 7 primes.
It's getting
0,
worse
1,
right
2,
now.
3.
We've been out and about today. We've been filming a few stories,
They add different
and
to
in
the
particular,
calculator.
it's a human toll
So the
that we have
prime
been
for
looking at.
something we're doing at
1.5
it, even
million
though they're
people who
even
have
or
fled the
odd
country
or
in the last 10
compressed
days
below
alone.
a certain
Families
state.
torn apart, leaving everything that they have. And I want to play for you one scene that we saw at the train station earlier.
Sometimes it's about figuring
Packed
out what do
onto
you want it
trains, women and children are desperately fleeing
now,
for
who
safety,
that is
fleeing the
responsible
bombs and the rockets of
specifically of
Putin's
how
army.
this cookie
Their anger and
factory
their
works.
fear evident.
Well, when you're trying to find out the surface problem
The trains out
of
of
the
Kiev, they are
Pharaohs,
packed full. You
while
can see
you're
the anger
moving
in these
brick
people's
around,
faces. They're leaving
they
everything
would be
behind, their
basic
families, their loved ones, their
the
jobs
real
and their
numbers, the
homes.
base and the height
It's not clear how many more trains there will be
the
leaving
thing
from
that I
Kiev,
gotta have
but
to
these are the
move
lucky few, the
and
few
its
who have
weight
made
and
it out.
density, or 4x B2. One of those spin ratios to the rectangle prison here, of a triangle prison, the C pyramid,
What have you left
square
behind?
pyramid, or...
Our families, everything.
And you would be like, why do they not understand the basic ground value there becomes a map? Becomes,
know where
you
you're
can't
going?
occupy soldiers
Not
inside of
exactly.
there and get the
We're
same
just
displacement
going
of
somewhere.
what the clock service time
I don't
inside
know,
of here
maybe
is by any other number.
Maybe we won't,
It's what it'll extrude. It's
go
what
back
it'll do
here,
on
yeah.
the outside. Now, you can't do timed at
Everyone now
buy
just
now,
trying
pay
to get on
later
whichever
on.
train they
I'll
can.
fix
There
up for
isn't
this
enough room
because
for them
it's
all. They just want to flee and they're taking the only
really
things
about business.
that they can carry. Desperate families are being
No matter
torn
how
apart.
you add up
This
this
man,
thing,
Vadim, urging his
for
wife
sure,
not to
there are
cry
a couple,
as he sends her
but
and their
when you
children to
simulated
an
this, because
uncertain future.
some of this is
None
about
of them
high
know
low,
where they're going.
this is about
This
figuring
young
out
couple,
resistor
recently married,
boards and
share a final and
schematics,
tearful
to how we
embrace,
design the
vowing
problem
they
in
will
such a way
meet
I can
again,
talk about
though no
it as
idea
subject
when.
matter
Where
to get
recently they had
programmers
hoped to
seeing
start
where
a
I find
family,
heat.
now they must split up. And left on the
If not
platform,
Alice and
just the
Bob
men.
here, or a
They
field
will
trip
stay
of
to
N
fight
students
for their
in
country.
Y males of them. Well,
And
just, you
Gillian,
could
it's
say Y is
heartbreaking
females.
stuff.
Why
You
not?
see this day in, day out, and the numbers who are
Something I
coming through
keep an
Kiev
eye
and
on
trying to
for a
escape, they
differential
grow every
inside
day.
here.
It is sometimes very hard
And the energy,
to watch, and that is the
ones and
counter
zeros,
side of all the
and
death that
as
you
you
witness as
program
well every
40
day,
in, that's
is
all
the
I need
human
it to
toll.
be. The rest
Gillian?
of the program
Ben, you
Android
get a sense of despair from the
pumps
people
out
who are leaving,
this
not
concrete
knowing
pour.
when they'll be able to
What
come
we'll
back,
be doing
if they'll be
later,
able
a
to come
footer and a
back,
bridge for
and
carbon.
what they potentially could come back to.
Yep, because
Your
that's a
thoughts
lot
on
of that
that?
free radiant you pick up in the mill floor. OSHA
Yeah,
Fed
and one
players
of the amazing
supposed to be
things is
running
that right up
through
until the
on
Russians crossed the border
on
into
systems
Ukraine,
that
many
they
people
just don't
didn't
do.
really believe that they were going to do it. They were going to invade in
That's
such a
what
way.
it'll do. It
And
will
so many people were not prepared. They
Pavlovian,
didn't know
brother.
where they were going to go or what they would bring with them. And even now, there are some people who
And if they're not
have
doing
no clue
this,
where
this
they
will be
are
the
going
first
to
of the
go.
mass gaps. It's a
It-
very
it
hard
is,
problem.
as
Smart
I said,
people,
heartbreaking,
it's like
and it
COVID.
is
Some
something that
people
is
get
affecting the
it, some are
surrounding
more
countries.
inoculative
If you
than
have such an
others,
exodus
some
of
are...
people, that has a real
Sometimes they don't
knock-on
like
effect
it.
on Poland, on Moldova at the moment, and then further on
And
in
here
to
we
Europe.
are
And there's a huge effort
as,
underway now to help those
somebody sent me in a cruise
refugees
missile
who
to
are
town
fleeing.
to take
But
out
of course, the main
something
hope is
here.
that they will
And
one
I
day
think
be able to
both
come
of
home.
them,
But the way the
when you
direction that
still,
this
all
conflict
right,
is
none of
going
that matters.
doesn't seem
I'll
like
just
that's going to be the
parallel
case for a very,
paper
very
and
long
then I'll bring
time.
it in.
And if they do
Surprise.
indeed come back, well, their homes won't be here. Their schools won't be
And then
here.
you go to NATO,
Their
and then you go
texts
to
won't be here.
votes, you go back to the
This is
666
not
of the
going
pie
to be
chart,
over soon.
33 and a
This is going to
third,
be a
or
long
how
haul battle.
666 is not
It looks
666
like
because
the Secretary
33
of
and
State
a
Tony
third is
Blinken
locked
added
up
his
going the
voice to the
numbers on Bill
chorus
Gates' pie chart of
today,
what you actually
saying
need to do.
potentially Putin may very well have committed war crimes here. He cited very credible
Probably
threats
not.
of the
I'm
Russians
just
targeting
saying,
civilians
like,
as well as
as it
using
would
certain
be, and then we get back to
weapons
the
by which
Energized
we
Bunny
understand
over
he
there, and we
means
start dealing with
cluster bombs.
Penzrel.
Does that surprise you? You think that's where we're heading with
Penzrel.
this? Is prosecuting him?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
Horse
we've
in
seen the
many
videos
colors
of
I'd
cluster
see
bombs. They're
running
very
through
distinctive.
Portman
You can
Key
tell when
Hollis.
they're dropping. The NATO Secretary General, Jens Stoltenberg, has said that cluster bombs are
And
being
that's a
used
modern
here.
period, but I've
and
gotten
that
very
there is
good
evidence
with
of
the
that.
particle
The US,
spin
the Biden
4 in
administration,
terms of the
being a
CT
little bit more
paradox,
coy.
and
They
it's
haven't wanted to say
usually
definitively that
real
they are
weird
indeed
on this
committing
twisted
war
theory.
crimes. But yes, that is what's happening. And it is Putin's modus operandi. He's done it time and time again. You think of the barrel bombs in Syria. You think of the complete destruction of Chechnya. The list goes on. So there's no surprise that he is using those tactics. And of course, he's cornered right now. He's not doing as well as he thought he would. That clean initial strike on the capital hasn't happened.
The Ukrainians
and so he's
were just going to be like,
out,
oh, I'm here to liberate you.
with everything he's
and
got.
It's like, well, how did the Russians in town short of the cities do any better? And you just drive them all in the city, which unless you tell me you had a cushion zone for in terms of the derivative, you're going to hit the ground hard.